today. The 16-0 and playoff-bound New York Giants are taking on the 0-16 Dallas Cowboys. And why are the Dallas Cowboys 0-16? Because they suck. Haven't won a Super Bowl since after the 95 season. Haven't been to the Super Bowl since after the 95 season. Dallas Cowboys. Jerry Jones, what he's on? Ezekiel Elliott. Big signing. Lost a ton of guys. Jerry Jones says he's all in. He signs Ezekiel Elliott. That's it. Oh, man. Dallas. Oh, man. Whew. That always gets me. Welcome to the Gridiron. Anybody out there at all that's going to spend a little bit of time with me here this evening, I greatly appreciate it. Or if anybody's going to spend time watching a replay this, once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It means the world to me. Going to try to go about 30 minutes here tonight, shoot my mouth off for about 30 minutes. Anybody got anything to say, please feel free to fire away. Throw in the chat box. We try to check on the chat box like, every 5 or 10 minutes or so. So as soon as I see something in there, I try to respond to it as fast as I can. Right. So, but also, instead of, instead of me just rambling on for half an hour, 45 minutes, or whatever it might wind up being, it's just nice to talk to another Giant fan. So please feel free, fire away. Before I get started, if anybody wants to help support my channel out, it would mean the absolute world to me. The description box below, the very top link in the description box takes you to my membership page. I got 3 different membership levels. The first one's called the Saquon, unfortunately. Second one's called the Lawrence Taylor, and the third one I got is called the Gridiron. Each one's got their own little perks to them. So if you want to help support my channel out, it would mean so much to me, and I thank you in advance. Thank you. If you are subscribed to my channel, once again, thank you. I can use all the support I can get, guys. But if not, please go down below. Hit the subscribe button. Hit that bell icon. That way next time I go live or if I put a video out, you'll be notified. And it's free of charge. What do you got to lose, right? But if you are subscribed to my channel, thank you. Maybe give this video a thumbs up or share it. That'd be freaking awesome. And then finally, a little ways down in the description box, there's two additional links. Top one's a Facebook link, which you'll go over in just a second. The one underneath it. I'm an old-time fart. Can't stand change. You like things just the way they are. Don't be changing stuff up on me, right? I'm one of them old-time farts. Get off my lawn! One of them old-time farts. I like things just the way they are. It's a Twitter link. It'll always be Twitter to me. It's always been Twitter. Whatever letter of the alphabet Elon Musk wants me to call it, I ain't calling it that, bro. That's on you. I'm calling it Twitter. Nah. It's Twitter. Follow me on Twitter. I'll follow you back. That's an absolute promise. I try to put Giants-related stuff in my Twitter account every day. And then finally, the link on top of it takes you to my Facebook group. It's called the New York Giants, the Gridiron. It's my Facebook group. It's very original, the name I know, because basically it's the same thing as my YouTube channel. I'm just too much of a moron to try to figure out a different name for my Facebook group. So basically, it's the same thing as my YouTube channel. The New York Giants of Gridiron, we have over 8,300 members in the group. It's doing simply marvelous, might I add, basically. Basically, if I'm alive and breathing and if I have internet access, I'm putting stuff in this group darn near 365. And not only do I put stuff in this group, but the members post stuff in this group as well, too. So me and the members, there's a ton of New York Giants information going in this group every day. It's the New York Giants, the Gridiron. It's my Facebook group. Please join it. You won't be dissatisfied. I promise. All right. Well, all that stuff's said and done and out of the way with. Giants came out with their some of their I guess their off-season schedule coming up. You got the OTAs. I mean, it's really you got 10 of them that they can have, and there's all kinds of rules and everything, and you start bending some of those rules, like you start having any type of contact at all or anything. Some people start, pick the phone up and make a call, and then like the league or whatever calls table. Yeah, we've been getting reports. You guys have some contact going on out there. What's going on out there, Dapes? Huh? Yeah, not allowed to have that. So But let's see here. The Giants rookie minicamp dates and off-season schedule have been announced. And it's funny, this is from Giants Wire, and I got a picture of, I guess, it's got to be from, I guess, last year. Well, I guess it could be even from freaking 2 years ago, I guess. You got a picture of Kayvon Thibodeau, but in the background, it's funny because you see Wink. Wink Martindale there. But the New York Giants will get an opportunity to see their 2024 draft class on the field for the first time when they hold their rookie minicamp it's this week coming up, from Thursday, May 9th through Saturday, May 11th at the Quest Diagnostic Training Center in East Rutherford, New Jersey. So for 3 days, they'll have the rookie minicamp out there. It'll be pretty cool. The team will hold their 10 voluntary. Now, we always got to remember that because, when somebody don't show up and, the first question, boom, it gets asked. Jordan Renon's got a question. Yeah, so-and-so is not at the camp. What's going on? Is he holding up? What's going on? We got a big problem going on there in East Rutherford? Yeah. So, no, it's voluntary. But once you, all right, let's see here. So, the team will hold their 10 voluntary organized team activities, or OTAs, for all players on the following dates. Voluntary, once again, right? So, it'd be interesting to see, how long, does this Sterling Shepard, the Darius Slayton. It's like every there's always something. Last year it was like the Saquon, the Daniel Jones, who's holding out this year? You know what I mean? Yeah. So how long is the Darius Slayton thing kind of drag out for? Right? Does he, if he doesn't get his way, does he show up? Does he just not come in? We'll have to wait and see. As I said, I can see both sides of the fence without question. Darius Slayton, has led the team and he's had over 700 receiving yards 4 of his 5 seasons. We don't have, Patrick Mahomes back there throwing the football. We don't have, the greatest offensive line of all time blocking for Patrick Mahomes, right? We don't have, right? Yeah. And, all he does is put up like over 700 yards receiving like year in and year out. And, you guys, I say, I looked, there was a couple of videos ago, DeVonta Smith. Hey, man, good for you. Good for you, right? That's kind of like the going rate, right? Because like A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith, a lot of these other guys making 25, 30. I don't know what ABCD Lamb's going to get. The guy's a stud. So in this modern NFL, you got to be looking 25 to 30 for ABCD, right? Lamb. So, but with DeVonta Smith, with I'm not going to say a superior quarterback. Jalen Hurts is a very good quarterback. However, he's surrounded with one of the best offensive lines in football. He's a very good athlete. So running, right? Dallas Goedert is a very good, weapon as far as a tight end. And, he's got 2 really good wide receivers, with DeVonta Smith and Brown. But, so that helps. DeVonta Smith's numbers. When the quarterback can stand in the pocket, maybe he can run around and gain extra time just being able to scramble around. Heck, sometimes it's if he's running around enough, the defense might have to have a spy on him, right? So now you're taking one guy out of the defense, right, to spend all of his time on Jalen Hurts. Well, that opens up, the secondary a little bit, right? So I'm saying, but DeVonta Smith, I think he had like a little over 1,000 yards receiving last season. And he got $25 million. Darius Slayton, right, had over 700 receiving yards. So, I mean, DeVonta Smith, he had less than 300 yards more. I'm just saying last season. That's all I'm going by. So it was close. It was like maybe he had like 290 more yards or whatever, but he's getting $25 million. Darius Slayton's getting $6 million. It's like, so DeVonta Smith got like 300 more receiving yards just last season on a better offensive line, better receivers, all that stuff and everything. And DeVonta Smith's making basically 4 times the amount of money that Darius Slayton is. Yeah, something ain't right there. Yeah. So I can certainly see his point of view. Nope. And I said it wasn't like he just did it for one season, right? I mean, he's on not a very good team, bad offensive line. We don't have Patrick Mahomes throwing the football or Tom Brady or nothing like that, right? All he does is 4 out of 5 years, over 700 yards receiving. And compared to some of these upper echelon receivers, he's not making nothing really, right? So I can certainly see where he's coming from. Now, but the problem is that Shane, and I said I can see if he wants a contract extension, add another year, maybe 2 onto it, boost his salary up. I don't know what he's looking for. Is he looking for double digits? If he threw $10 million a year at him, would that make him happy? Don't know. But the problem is that, you have Shane, and we're going to go over this, and as far as the drafting of wide receivers for the Giants, right? The draft capital the Giants have been spending recently on wide receivers in the draft is really is blowing everybody else in the NFL away by far. Anyway. It's just that Shane's been here's his 3rd draft. He drafted himself Wan'Dale Robinson in the slot. He's got Jalen Hyatt out wide. Then he has Malik Neighbors, who can probably do everything, probably even freaking punt the football too if they want him to, but he can be anywhere. Right? I mean, it wouldn't be too bad. Right? I mean, if we had to go 4 wide, if they ever want to maybe empty back, or 4 wide with maybe a running back in the back, whatever, or if they're going to put a tight end in there, who knows? I'm saying, but if you go 4 wide, if you got Slayton out wide, you got Hyatt out wide, you got Neighbors and Robinson in the slot, right? It'd be pretty good. But the thing is that, Shane, came here, and when he came here, Shane and Dable, Slayton was here already. He's not his guy, right? They're bringing in their guys. That's not saying that they want Slayton out or nothing. But the thing is that they drafted Hyatt in the 3rd round for a reason. I'm kind of hoping maybe that he'll develop, right? Maybe get his route running down a little bit better. Maybe instead of it just kind of all right, Jaylen, when the ball gets snaps, you just run. Okay, get him a little more involved in some more of the routes. But, they drafted, Hyatt, they drafted Robinson, they drafted Neighbors. They drafted 3 wide receivers, 1st rounder, 2nd rounder, 3rd rounder, right? They're going to want those guys on the field, okay? So, I mean, where does that leave Slayton at? No, on the sideline. Maybe not all the time. As I said, maybe they have 5 offensive line. They'll have somebody in a shotgun. Heck, they might have Singletary in the backfield next to Daniel Jones in just case there's a blitz he has to pick up if they do go 4 wide. Or once again, you're talking injuries and New York Giants. They kind of go hand in hand. Hey, how you doing? I'm injuries. Hey, I'm New York Giants. We're going to be good friends. Yeah, right. So if let's not hope not. But I mean, if somebody were to get injured, now Slate can maybe step in, right? Maybe fill in for Hyatt or right, whatever. But I mean, if everybody's healthy, I'm sure they're going to want their 3 guys that they drafted on the field, right? And I said it might spend, Slayton might have to spend more time on the sideline. Now the thing is, they have to look at how they're spending their money, what kind of bang for their buck are they getting? Do they want to bump them up to $10 million a year and have them staying on the sideline 60% of the time? It's like, well, we're not getting the biggest bang for a buck there, right? So, I mean, it's got to, so, I mean, if Slayton really is very persistent on this, and I can certainly, once again, I can see both sides, right? I mean, might have to come down to it. Shane might have to pick the phone up and call Slayton's agent and said, yeah, so if I'm in Philadelphia or Dallas or Washington, is your football team you'd like to get traded to? Right? So then the nice thing about that would be you would get something in return for him. He's still young. He had some injuries, he got a little dinged up and all that, maybe early on, but I mean, he's been relatively healthy. He's still young, he's still fast. You can see what production you get from him with a bad offense. It's not too bad. So I mean, he's got to have some value, obviously. And at $6 million, he's got to certainly have some value. Somebody that fast, over 750 yards receiving, or so over 700 yards receiving, 4 out of 5 years. He's got some value to him. No, once again, I don't know what's going to get returned. 4th, 5th rounder maybe in return, but we picked him in the 5th. Not Shane, but get rid of him. Get a 5th round pick for him. Sounds good, right? The other thing would also be as well too is that you could hope if you were to lose them after the season's over with, right? You can kind of hope and maybe hope that maybe you might get a compensatory pick for him in the draft, the following year. But I mean, it's there's that. It depends upon how many guys you sign compared to how many guys you wind up losing, and it's a kind of little complicated formula that they got. But I mean, if Slayton were to go, possibly that might help the Giants get a compensatory pick, possibly for him in the following year's draft. So either way, I mean, I think it probably might behoove the Giants if they can't work something out with Slayton, that to maybe try to trade him, make him happy, maybe send him someplace that might, pay him more than $6 million a year, and the Giants get something, they get something in return for him, right? Because I mean, it's I'm sure, obviously Shane's telling this to the agent as well too. It's like, I mean, he's going to play. I mean, obviously if somebody gets injured, he's going to play a lot more. But I mean, as of right now, what we're looking at, he might be on the field maybe a third of the snaps. Maybe 40%, maybe 2 out of every 5 snaps, so it's like, what would that be? So if we have 50 snaps in the game, or say 60 snaps in the game, or just say 70, right? That's not a lot of, it's not a lot of snaps he's going to wind up getting, to raise his salary, and once again, as I said, have a guy getting a third of the snaps when he's on the sideline most of the time, that doesn't make much sense. So I'm sure Shane's explaining that to his agent, or I'm sure his agent knows that, all that stuff and everything. So maybe this is why he's also holding out, because they drafted high, and they got Robinson, and they just drafted Neighbors, all that. So maybe this is why he's holding out. Maybe if he can't get something done, maybe he'll get traded to someplace where he'll get used more, right? Like I said, I mean, if somebody does wind up getting injured, let's hope not. But if one of these wide receivers get injured, obviously it's going to probably quite possibly step up. He'll get used more, but that's not the object. Well, when we get injuries, we'll bring him. That's not the object. Everything is to try to hopefully have everybody be relatively healthy. So. But I'm saying, maybe this is why Slayton and his agent are, having him hold out, right? So let's see if we can work out a deal. If not, let's see if he can trade me someplace where I can maybe, I'll play, And, maybe I can get a bump in salary. It could be one of those things. I'll push the chips in the middle of the table. I'll bet on myself. Trade me someplace, wherever. I'll give you a name of whatever. A list of maybe 6, 7, 8 teams or so that you can trade me to, right? And I'll bet on myself and go there, and that team will trade a draft pick for me. So after the season's over with, they got a little something involved with me because they traded a draft pick, so they don't want to trade a 5th round pick and just let me walk, right? So they might want to re-sign me, right? So, but I mean, if I'm betting on myself, and and I get used a lot, and I put up 700-800 yards receiving, I'm not going to get $6 million. 700-800 yards receiving, we're talking at least double digits as far as a million. So I'll have to wait and see. I like Slayton. I think he's a high character guy, right? And he wants to be with Daniel Jones, right? And, so it'd be obviously for me anyway, it'd be a shame to see him go. But I can't blame him. Can't blame him at all. So I'll have to wait and see how long this drags out for. But the one nice thing is if it does drag out like a long time, I mean, it's not really going to hurt. Once again, unless there's a bunch of injuries, it's really not going to hurt the Giants a heck of a lot. I don't think. Because we got neighbors. Neighbors are going to start opening stuff up for Wan'Dale Robinson. And if Robinson can stay healthy and he's do his thing, and they say you got neighbors, that's going to help open stuff up quite possibly for Theo Johnson, maybe Bellinger, open up the running game. They'll open up Hyatt going down the side. So it's it's not like where Saquon's holding out. I was like, oh man, if he doesn't show up, we don't have Saquon. Ooh, you know what I mean? I said, if we don't have Slayton, okay. It's not going to, it ain't killing our season. So I just wish there's nothing but the best. But once again, it's football. We love it. Got to watch it. It's in our blood, right? Oh, hey, Red Cross. It's in my blood, right? The Giants, right? It's in our blood, right? So, but once again, it's a business too. So. All right, next. Got 4 reasons here. 4 reasons that there are no more excuses for Daniel Jones in 2024. You know what? Hold on here. I didn't even, I X'd out all of that stuff here. Here we go. And I didn't even read off the dates here. Let's see. The OTAs, May 20th and 21st, May 23rd, May 28th and 29th, May 31st, June 3rd and 4th, and June 6th and 7th. During OTAs, no live contact is permitted, but 7-on-7, 9-on-7, and 11-on-11 drills are permitted, but there is no contact. Mandatory minicamp will take place from June 11th to the 13th, which will contain the team's entire roster from veterans to rookies. So, mandatory minicamp. So, we're going to be interested to see, once again, bringing up Darius Slayton, if we wind up getting 2 mandatory minicamp in about a month. So, today's what? Today's the 5th, soon to be the 6th, so in a little over a month. Mandatory minicamp for, I guess they got like 3 days, June 11th, 12th, and 13th. Mandatory. So, let's see, does Darius Slayton show up then? Because all those other OTAs, those 10 OTA days, right? So we got, as I said, we got here, where we at the May 9th, 10th, and 11th. All right, is the minicamp. Then you got 10 days later there's the OTA starting. So you got the 11th, right? Is the last day of the minicamps. Then the 20th. Is when the OTAs, voluntary OTAs. But with Darius Slayton, in June 11th, 12th, and 13th will be the mandatory minicamp, which will take place from June 11th to 13th, which will contain the team's entire roster from veterans to rookies. And I guess after the 13th, okay, I guess that is when June 13th. That's when they basically take their month off we'll see you. We'll see whatever, July 15th or exactly whatever the date is, and that's when it's on. That's when it's on, guys. Right? Training camp, couple weeks of training camp, preseason. Boom. Right. So, but speaking of preseason and the season and all that stuff, I mean, we should be getting the schedule out really soon. Because last I saw, right, with the draft and everything, was sometime in May. So we're in May. Now obviously, we're only in the 5th. It's soon to be the 6th. So we still got plenty of time in May. But we should be getting the schedule out very soon. Yeah. Oh, man. I love it. I mean, because like in March, right, you got the free agency. I mean, in February, you got the Super Bowl, right? March, you got free agency. April, you got the draft, right? And then, in May, you got the mini camps and all that stuff and everything. And then you got the schedule coming out, right? So you basically have like that 1 month off, basically from like the middle of June to middle of July, where really there's not much going on. But I'll tell you when, but the beauty of that 4 weeks or so that they're off is, when it's over, the season is I don't want to say here, but you know what I mean. But it's whew, man, love it, absolutely love it. All right, guys, 4 reasons that there are no more excuses for Daniel Jones in 2024. Well, Danny Dimes, this is from G-Man HQ. This is by Peter Vitella, looks like. Will Danny Dimes save his career in 2024? Well, it's he's got his work cut out for him. I really think that they made his life, certainly easier, without question. I think hopefully with Priscilla coming in there, hopefully he'll be able to at least rebuild the offensive line, make it a little more functionable. And Theo Johnson and Malik Neighbors in there. I mean, just think. I mean, once again, hopefully somewhere along the line we'll actually hear something from Darren Waller. Wouldn't that be nice? And if you feel like a jackwagon talking about him, stuff like a guy's going through a divorce and everything like that. So, but I mean, I tell you, could you imagine? I mean, once again, I'm not saying we're going to be the number 5 team in all the NFL as far as scoring and this, that, but I mean, think about it, right? I mean, if we got, Hyatt, I mean, if they sign Slayton, right? Hyatt, Slayton, Wando Robinson, Malik Neighbors. I mean, you got Daniel Bellinger, who needs to do a little better job than he did before. But with Theo Johnson and if Darren Waller were to come back, I mean, could you imagine? Could you imagine that? Oh my God. Right? Could you imagine Theo Johnson, one end of the line, 6'6", Darren Waller on the other line, like 6'6", I think. Can you imagine those two guys just running down the seams or running around? Wow. And you got Robinson underneath, like, whew. And then Neighbors, whatever the heck he's going to be freaking doing. And then you got Hyatt running down. Wow. Whew. Tell you what, if we can't get production from Daniel Jones out of that, bye-bye. I'm sure they're going to put Drew Luck in. Drew Luck. I'm thinking Andrew. That's what happens when you think about Andrew Luck and Drew Lock at the same time. So it can be interesting to see, all right, how short the leash is for Daniel Jones before they put Drew Lock in there. But anyway, the Giants didn't take a quarterback in the draft, and will be running it back with Daniel Jones in 2024. It appears the Giants quarterback room is set with Daniel Jones, Drew Lock, and Tommy Chicken Cutlet Parmesan. All right. After receiving a massive 4-year, $160 million extension, Jones battled 2 major injuries and just played poorly in 2023. 2022, Jones helped the Giants to the playoffs. He had 3,205 yards passing, 708 yards rushing, and 22 total touchdowns to just 8 total turnovers. Very good. Very impressive. He looked excellent in Brian Dable's offense. In 2023, things could not have gone worse. How correct you are. Right? Now the pressure is on for Jones in 2024, and there are no more excuses for him. Here are 4 reasons why. the improved offensive line this season. Well, once again, I thought we were going to have an improved offensive line last season, and like whatever it was, 42 seconds into the season, the guy from Dallas jumps over the giant line, blocks the kick. I think Graham Gano got cleated or stepped on or something like that. The one dude picks the ball, runs it back for a touchdown. Andrew Thomas pulls his hamstring. That blows his pretty much almost his whole season. It's like, so like 43 seconds into the season, we're like, we're down our left hand, so I thought the offensive line was supposed to be a little bit better last year too, but boy, did we take a step back. So in this article here, they're talking about the improved offensive line. Well, let's hold off on that, right? Let's see the results before we, Although to be fair to the article there, what they're talking about, then there's a lot more in this article I'm going to go over. To be fair, I tell you what, if we're not improved over last season, bringing in a new coach, and we have 352 offensive linemen. If we're not improved, just fold up, sell the organization to somebody. If we're not improved over the 85 sacks we gave up, holy cow, we got problems. Giants have notoriously had some dreadful offensive line play during Jones's tenure as the Giants' starting quarterback, and it has contributed to some poor play and some injuries. According to Pro Football Focus, the Giants had the 30th ranked offensive line in football last season. In 2022, they had ranked the 18th. See? The 30th, he gets annihilated. The 18th, he's functionable. Right? We don't have to be the number one offensive line. Can you get in the mids, right? Can you get around 16, 15, 16, 18s? Can you get somewhere in there? Is that asking too much? I don't think so. Right? Especially after all the draft capital that they wound up spending on the offensive line. I said we got 2 first-round picks on there. We got a second-round pick, and if Zulu somehow sneaks in there, we got a third-round pick that draft capital we spent on the offensive line. So they've spent, right, some draft money to fix the offensive line. They will also hope to have some of the other starters returning continue to perform. Giants didn't draft any offensive linemen in the draft, but they brought in a ton of offensive line, free agent offensive linemen. All right. And Illuminor has already won fans over with his passion and general excitement to be with this team. So, yeah, I'm a big Illuminor fan. Absolutely. Absolutely. Love the guy. Absolutely love the guy. All right. What do we got? We got the Giants continue to back Daniel Jones despite the Drew Lock rumors. Ooh. The Giants expressed interest in the NFL draft and guys like Drake May, J.J. McCarthy, and Michael Penix Jr. Once again, I'm not sure where these guys get their information from, but they expressed interest, meaning I guess they had 30 visits with the guys, or they're just doing their due diligence by bringing these guys in and talking to them and having workouts with them and all. But it could be due diligence, could be smoke screens as well too. But ultimately went in a different direction. The team did not work out a trade with the Patriots to get up and get May. Could have been too expensive. They then passed on McCarthy and Penix, who probably quite possibly they didn't think was worth the number 6 overall pick. They're like, well, do we want to take McCarthy, who's not a number 6 pick, or we can take Neighbors, who's going to be a game changer? Let's take Neighbors, right? See, here it's like they're talking about, they passed on McCarthy and they drafted Neighbors. But then, of course, if they drafted McCarthy, right, and they passed on Neighbors, there'd be 3 trillion articles every day written on that fact. The Giants blew it. They passed on Neighbors, a game changer. What are they taking McCarthy for? What are they stupid? So it's absolutely amazing that whatever they do, it's wrong. They also passed on all of the day 2 quarterbacks. Well, there wasn't a ton of day 2 quarterbacks because 99.9% of the quarterbacks in this draft were taken in the top 5 picks. I mean, with 6 out of the top 12 picks of quarterbacks, I mean, geez. I mean, we got some reaching going on there. The only change in the Giants quarterbacks room was that Drew Lock is in as the backup while Tyrod Taylor signed with the Jets. I mean, my God, if you think about that, if you think about Taylor and Aaron Rodgers, boy, I'll tell you what, they got some experience, don't they? Let's see. General Manager Joe Shane had made it clear that Jones is his quarterback as soon as he is healthy. However, he made some rumblings that Locke could compete for the job. DeVito also remains on the roster. If the Giants decide to make this a competition, Jones should be able to beat out Locke, as he has had the better career to this point. All right, we got, let's see, next. Offensive continuity for Daniel Jones in 2024. Okay. 2022, Jones worked very well in the Dable and Mike Kafka system. After the 2022 and 2023 seasons, many thought that Kafka would be leaving for a different job opportunity, but he has remained. And, they kind of rewarded him by being an assistant head coach, help prepare him for his quite possibly his departure, right? And Daniel Jones coming off an injury with some new pieces. It's important that Jones doesn't have to learn a new offense as he rehabs his knee. Absolutely. Because of the injury, Jones is already behind the 8 ball, so new offense would be another major hurdle. Early in his career, Jones dealt with constant coordinator and coaching changes, and that's very tough on a young quarterback. Oh, yeah. I mean, you look at it, he got taken. Whoops. There we go. He got taken. I'm not sure how much Shermer really wanted him, but he got taken with Gettleman, right, in 2019. So he was with Duke 2018. Offensive system, offensive coordinator, right? Then in 2019, he was with Shermer, right? New offensive, new, right? After 2019, Shermer's out. In comes Judge. 2020, you got Judge and the Clapper, right? So in 3 years, right? So then he was in the 4th season, he had Judge and then again. But then in the 5th season, right? That's when Dable comes in, right? Kafka and all that. So basically, in a 5-year period, he's had 4 different offensive coordinators, right? He's had 4 different coaches, 4 different systems. It's pretty tough. Makes it pretty tough, right? I mean, basically, almost every year you come in, you got to learn. And then after that, after the season's over, you take that system, throw it out in the trash, and you got to start hitting the books for the learn a new system, right? And one of the things is, it's just like with offensive line play, with learning a system, right? The more the guys can stay healthy, the offensive line, and get some continuity going there, that's huge. They know what the strengths and weaknesses of each guy is that they got next to him and everything like that. But the same thing with Daniel Jones. Right? The more he knows the system, he keeps calls the plays. He more familiarity has with the plays, and all of this. He's doing less thinking and more reacting. He's just going back there. He's not, thinking, I got to do this guy here. I got to do this. He's not thinking. He's just dropping back the pass, and he's just letting his eyes take him, where he's got to go. It's huge. But I mean, as I said, 2018, 2019, 2020. 2022, 4 out of 5 years, different coaches, different offenses, different systems, different offensive coordinators. It's kind of tough. Let's see here. Despite the issue last year, nothing changes as far as the coaching and the system. The personnel have obviously changed as far as players, and that will be a great thing for Jones and the Giants. With some added weapons, perhaps the offense will add some new tricks. Possibly. Perhaps it will also bring out the best in Jones, or at least get him back to his 2022 self. That's needed for him and this team as a whole. Now, one of the things also was, which helped in 2022 was his running. But one thing was with his running was, who's in the backfield with him, Saquon. Now, I'm not saying Singletary's a slouch. Surely not saying that. And Devin Singletary is really, really, But when you got Saquon in the backfield, all eyes are on Saquon, right? And that obviously helps you running. We don't have Saquon anymore. So be interested to see, that's one thing that did make him help his stats or help him be maybe as best as he could in 2022, right? Is the running. Saquon was back there, plus Daniel Jones was running. The thing is now, is that, obviously Saquon's not there. It certainly doesn't mean we can't run the same kind of style offense with Single. We can't. We only got Singletary back there. We can't, of course you can. You can do it whatever you want, obviously. But the thing is that, what helped Daniel Jones in 2022 is his passing, but his running, right? I'm not sure how much running they're going to want have him doing this season. Have to wait and see. But I'll tell you what, hopefully, if he does put it in the belly of somebody and he pulls it out and he starts running, hopefully if anybody gets within like 350 feet of him, he slides down, right? Don't take no shots. Don't take any shots. Get down. Learn to live for another day, for another play, right? Get down. Slide. Now, the last reason here for no more excuses for Daniel Jones, he finally has a number one wide receiver, which is something he hasn't had. I don't know if he's ever had one. I mean, you don't go to Duke to be a wide receiver in the NFL. I'll tell you that one much. So whoever's number one wide receiver in Duke it wasn't Jerry Rice. I can tell you that much, right? So then he comes here to the Giants. He doesn't have a number one wide receiver. So he hasn't. I don't know if he's ever had a number one wide receiver, right? So he's going to have one this year. Giants selected Neighbors, right? And for the first time in his career, Jones is a true top-tier wide receiver. Neighbors was argued by some to be the best wide receiver in the draft. He is a big play waiting to happen, which is obviously great for Danny Dimes and Table and us Giant fans too. Yes. The lack of a true stud wide receiver is no longer an issue. Neighbors had 1,569 yards, 89 catches, and 14 touchdowns last season for the Tigers. The wide receiver position goes from one that is a weakness to one that is a strength for the G-men. That's the kind of playmaker that Neighbors is going to be for this team. Of course, Neighbors leads the way, but it's a strong group, as you also have, they got Wan'Dale Robinson, Jalen Hyatt, and Darius Slayton. We'll say. They also provide speed. They provide the ability to go deep down the field, and they can take pressure off of Jones. The thing is, they can take pressure off of Jones. I mean, if we're going deep, but they need protection. You can't stand in the pocket and throw deep so. Let's hope our quarterbacks can stand upright for more than a couple seconds. That would be so nice, wouldn't it? They all provide speed. They provide the ability to go deep. It's officially make or break time for Jones and Big Blue. But aiding Neighbors should make his life easier. So it's somewhere along the line, you got to make a decision, right? Either you're in on this guy or you're out. Either you're in or you pull the plug. I mean, this is year 6. People keep, some people keep, relating him to Phil Simms. He got drafted in 79. He didn't start blooming until 1984. Well, basically, he didn't keep getting, healthy or whatever, a lot of injuries, But, I mean, you're going back 40 years, things change. You go back 40 years before that, and it was, back to the 40s, So, every 40 years is a big change in football. So, I mean, things are different. Maybe back in the 70s and the 80s, you can have a quarterback around for multiple years if you still think you can got something going with him, But nowadays, it's like, what have you done for me in the last 5 seconds? If you throw an incomplete pass, you're out of there. We're benching. You're putting somebody in there. Do you throw an incomplete pass? Nah, yeah. Dude, we're trading you. It's tough. It's tough. All right, what do we got here next? The 3 biggest needs remaining for the Giants on their roster. All right, here we go. This is where we got? Ezekiel Trezeval, the 4th, or Patty Traynor from Giants country. Now I'm not really. I'm seeing one right here, and I'm not smelling what the Rock is cooking on this one. They say running back. I'm not feeling it. Sorry. I'm really not feeling it. The Giants signed Devin Singletary. Pretty good. Right? In free agency as their lead back. Drafted Tyrone Tracy in the 5th round and signed undrafted free agent Dante Miller. The guy's fast. Whew. But it was thought that Shane was interested in adding a pure power back to pound opposing defenses into submission. Well, but I think Dable wants to pass the ball. You know what I mean? He will run, if and when they can or they have to, or, but it seems like he wants to be, he wants to be a pass first offense. That is the one thing, that, I was kind of hoping maybe if they would draft somebody, they may be a bigger power kind of guy. Somebody can maybe go in there and maybe get a yard if you had to or something like that. But, I mean, the guys that they got, I mean, even Brightwell. I mean, like last year when they put Brightwell in there. The guy's on the sideline most of the time. They finally put him in there. He didn't look too bad. I'm still anxious to see what Eric Gray can do other than return punts. We don't want to see that ever again. But I'm seeing, I like to see Tracy, what he can do in there. Right? We got Singletary. Singletary's been a very good back in the NFL. Hasn't been overused. He still has a lot of tread left on his tires. Right? Very good back. Right? So I'm not really, I'm not really feeling this where they're talking about the Giants need a running back. But they're talking about getting a pure power back. Whether that's still the plan is unknown, as the Giants might want to see if any of the roster players at the position can turn into that consistent between the tackles type. But having a downhill bruiser would certainly take their rushing game up a notch. Yeah, I don't know how much they want to be running the ball. Just to be, they want to pass the ball. Dable's in there to pass the ball, so. All right, next we got defensive line. That is, I can understand. We got a lot of depth, but we don't got the bread and the butter, right? We got a piece of bread, right? We're looking for some butter to put on the bread, or maybe you prefer the peanut butter and jelly, whatever you want to put on the bread, right? Right? We got a piece of bread. We're looking for something to put on whatever you want, but. Pastrami, salami, bologna, peanut butter and jelly, whatever you want to put on that other piece, right? We got a lot of, Ryder Anderson, Boogie Basham, DJ Davidson, Jordan Riley, Nacho. Nacho is decent against the run, but, they get another stud next to Sexy Dexy. That would be nice. So here they say the Giants were the only team in this year's draft that didn't draft either an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman. Now, to be fair, they did, we did bring in $150 million a year, not $150 million contract. Brian Burns, we drafted in the second, we gave away our second round pick. So we did, trade away a second round pick to get an edge rusher. So that's kind of helping the defensive front. But I can also see their point here, right? Meanwhile, on the other side of the ball, they seem prepared to roll into training camp with a youth movement headed by Jordan Riley and DJ Davidson. So the question, though, is that if one or both of these players, both nose tackle types, can be effective at the defensive end to help give Dexter Lawrence a new partner in crime that opposing offensive lines need to account for. And then they got Phillips too. but he's an old guy, older. I don't know, he's like 30-something years old. He's been around for quite some time. Ideally, that would be someone who draws double team blocks. They don't have that. I really don't think they have that. Somebody else that can push the pocket and get after the passer. Outside of Lawrence, the Giants don't appear to have such a talent on the defensive line capable of stopping the run and pushing the pocket. Now, when they had Leo the Lion there, now you had Leo the Lion, and you had Sexy Dexy. Say you had a nice little twosome in there. But as I said, it's still a building process here. Let's see, maybe next season in free agency or in the draft, they can get themselves a nice defensive lineman, right? Yeah, I mean, and also I think let's see, is it the next one here, cornerback? Let's see, yeah, cornerback. Yeah, the third is cornerback. And I said the same thing here, and next year in free agency or in the draft, they can certainly get themselves a nice stud of a defensive tackle and a nice cornerback, right, to go against opposite of Tay Banks. So I said, let's see what after next season. It didn't matter what we did this year. We had so many holes, a lot of weak depth in some positions at all. We were not going to fill every spot. After free agency was over with and after this year's draft was over, we were still going to have holes regardless, right? Let's see next year what we got, right? I mean, next year we can add quite a few more pieces to the puzzle. You can add maybe one or two in free agency, and you can also add, another one or two or maybe three in the draft. So, but cornerback, another position of need for the Giants. Yes, the Giants drafted Alijah Phillips. The third round is signed veteran David Long Jr., but among the additions to the existing group, it's still unclear who cornerback number 2 will be on the team. But as I said, if they don't find a guy or they don't pick somebody up in free agency this year, I said next year's they can certainly, I said either in free agency, go out and bring in somebody or in the draft, certainly draft a cornerback number 2 next season. Perhaps the Giants feel that they have that guy, Nick McCloud. Possibly. We'll have to see. Whom they re-signed to a 1-year deal. Or maybe they will throw Cordell Flott out there to go against McCloud. Or, that's second year Trey Hawkins, the hood, right? And then Aaron Robinson. I don't even know if the guy's ever going to play football ever again. But we'll have to wait and see. Someone from the roster might very well emerge as the answer. But if that doesn't happen, the Giants will have to have a glaring hole that goes unfilled. So, there's a lot. There's a lot of, free agents out there. There's some veteran cornerbacks out there the Giants can certainly bring in. So the Giant, Adoree Jackson still, last I know, I think he's still out there. So they can move some a little bit of money around with Andrew Thomas and maybe a Karake or if Waller were to retire, they'll have some money. They can bring somebody in. So I'll have to wait and see. All right. Let's see here. Now this one thing here, I'll tell you what, the Giants. So this chart here, Giants crushed the rest of the NFL in draft resources devoted to the wide receiver position since 2021. And it's like not even freaking close. They got this chart here, right? The Giants are like almost off the chart as far as, the draft capital. Not the amount, not that they drafted 9 wide receivers. I'm like, no, it's the amount. It's the high value, the high top 3 rounds basically of drafts capital that they've spent on the wide receiver position going back to 2021. Now this is why it's so important to hit on your draft picks. So important. I mean, because now to be fair, Kadarius Toney, the moron that he is. But I mean, the guy is a heck of a talent. It's tough to cover the guy. I mean, he's got moves and all that and everything. It's just that I'm not sure how much Gettleman and all of that, knew what was going on inside his brain, But I mean, the talent's there. It's just that, we didn't hit on it. We shouldn't. I mean, if Tony was, was more of a not a knucklehead, right? He might still be on the team, and he might be a wide receiver number one. So we might not be drafting Malik Neighbors because we got our number one wide receiver, right? But because it didn't turn out, right? Now you lost. I mean, you got to maybe draft picks in return, and then with the trade, we wound up getting Evan Neal for it, and all that stuff and everything. But I mean, if it paid off, or there's that too. I mean, I think possibly maybe with Gettleman, who I got a little article here, or the Giants organization leaking out information and like getting to the Eagles hearing about it or whatever, right? Jumping in front of the Giants to take DeVonta Smith because apparently the Giants, I guess the Giants and everybody in God's green earth knew that the Giants quite possibly wanted DeVonta Smith, right? So that's the Eagles jumped in front of the Giants. Took DeVonta Smith. So I mean, maybe if the Giants could keep their mouth shut or whatever, maybe the Eagles wouldn't have jumped in front of them to grab Smith. We could have drafted Smith, and we'd have our number one wide receiver right now, right, with DeVonta Smith, and we wouldn't have to maybe grab Neighbors. We can go someplace else. Now, that's why it's so important to hit on these draft picks. We shouldn't be looking for another cornerback. We drafted Baker, right, in the 2019 draft. Well, the guys. Didn't work out, right? So now we're looking for another cornerback. I mean, we got Banks, and if Baker was any good, right? We have our two cornerbacks. We're not looking for a cornerback. Why? Because we hit on Baker in the 2019 draft. We hit him. He's our cornerback number two. Dante Banks, our quarterback. Well, we don't need that. We don't need another cornerback. You maybe use some depth or something like that, but it's not a glaring hole. Because we drafted Baker and we drafted Banks. We got our two cornerbacks. We're ready to rock and roll. But when you miss on your picks, set you back years, right? But anyway, with this, I saw this here. The Giants crushed the rest of the NFL draft and draft resources devoted to the wide receivers since 2021. I said it's not even close. The Giants are like so far. Right, and basically all it is the Giants. They picked the four guys since 2021. Right, so we got Malik Neighbors this year in the first round, right? 2024, and then of course in 2023 we drafted Jalen Hyatt, right, with a third round pick. Then of course in 2022 we drafted Wan'Dale Robinson, right, with our second round pick, and then in 2021 we drafted Kadarius Toney, right. Did we draft anybody else? I'm not so sure. I don't see anybody, right? Yeah. So we drafted 4 wide receivers, right? Since 2021, each draft we drafted a wide receiver. Okay. Drafted a 2021 was a first rounder. 2022 was a second rounder. 2023 was a third rounder. 2024 was a first rounder. So a first, a second, and a third. So the past 4 years, right, 2 first-round picks, a second-round pick, and a third-round pick are wide receivers. So the Giants, I mean, as far as the value of the picks, not that the Giants, spent used 3 fourth-round picks on wide receivers, a 6th round, and 3 7th-rounders. No, I'm not saying that. It's the value, of the high picks that the Giants have spent on wide receivers in the past 4 seasons. I mean, my goodness. Thankfully, 3 of the 4 are still on the team. Wan'Dale Robinson, he's gone. Kadarius Toney's gone, but 3 out of the 4, at least thankfully, are still on the team. But the Giants, it's not even close. So there's a chart. The Raiders are like way down at the bottom of this chart. So the Raiders, let's see here. It's 2021. What have the Raiders spent? Well, because the Raiders went out, right? And they got Adams, right? So they went out and maybe, they spent some money to bring somebody in. So let me see what the Las Vegas Raiders draft history. Let's see what it looks like over the past 4 years. What they've spent, because they've spent the least amount of capital at the wide receiver position over the past 4 years. So this past draft, they didn't draft a wide receiver. 2023, they draft Trey Tucker in the 3rd round. Okay. 2022, they didn't draft one. 2021, they didn't draft one. So that's why. That's why the Raiders. So the grab the chart. The grab. I guess it's like this. The Giants are like off the charts up here. No, it's it's on. It looks like it's on Reddit. Reddit.com. Says Giants crush rest of the NFL in draft resources devoted to wide receivers since 2021. It's on Reddit. So, but I mean, so that and so the Giants are at the top. The Giants are like off the chart as far as the value of the draft capital that the Giants have spent on wide receivers since the past 4 seasons. So the Raiders are way down at the bottom of the chart. So in the past 4 seasons, the Raiders have drafted 1 wide receiver, and it was a 3rd rounder. That's why they're way down at the bottom. But I mean, it's not even close. It's like the Giants are, as I said, once again, are off the charts. I mean, you got like the Dolphins and the Chargers and the Chiefs. Okay, they're like and the Cardinals are like the closest ones. But I mean, it's not even, the Giants are like off the chart. It's funny, it's comical, but it's true. We drafted 4 wide receivers in the past 4 drafts: a 1st rounder, a 2nd rounder, and a 3rd rounder. Whew. As I said, thankfully, right, 3 of those 4 guys are still on the roster. So, but I saw that. I was like, really? Yeah, but no, that's true. In the past 4 years, we have crushed the rest of the NFL. And then finally, we got good old Dave Gettleman. He's apparently he was on I guess one of those talk shows or whatever it was, or a podcast or something, and he took a couple shots, I guess, at some of the draft analysts, the guys, I'm not sure if he's talking about Mel Kiper specifically or exactly what he was doing, but he took a couple shots at some of the guys and all that, some of his draft analysts, and as far as who this team should take, or the team took this guy, well, that's a horrible pick and stuff like that. So so Gettleman, he took a let's see here. Giants failed general manager Dave Gettleman to the media draft experts. When have you put your nuts on the line? Very interesting. Employing Dave Gettleman as a tack dog for the NFL draft analyst in the media is like hiring Rashee Rice as your high school's driver ed instructor. Then again, Rice only crashed. Gettleman crashed and burned. Giants fans will recite by verse how Gettleman screwed up the roster through the draft and free agent signings while greenlighting bad head coaching choices. And just for good measure, he blew up the salary cap. And through it all, he was one of the most arrogant team executives in the league. And it's been a while since we've heard a peep from him. But Gettleman stuck his head up this past week and took a shot at draft analysts in the media, taking particular aim at the Athletic's Dane Brugler, although Gettleman doesn't mention anyone by name. Gettleman was quoted in an interview with Neil Stratton, who runs Inside the League. Stratton, by the way, is another non-playing type who learned the game. Okay. I finally broke down and got a subscription to The Athletic, Gettleman said, partly because it was $1 a month, but it's like anything else. You got this guy giving every team grades, but you've got to be kidding me. Who are you? What have you done? When have you put your nuts on the line? Oh, my God. But sadly, you've got owners listening to these clowns and even GMs listening to these clowns. Listening to the media was never a crime Gettleman was accused of, although he had several obvious mouthpieces among the New York media who traded access with soft coverage. Let's remember that things got so bad with the Giants that Gettleman's buddy, co-owner John Mara, who basically hired him without really holding legitimate interviews, was forced to fire him in January 2022. Mara called it a retirement, but that's what buddies do. The Giants were 19-45 under Gettleman, topped out at 6 wins in 2020, and when Gettleman was pushed out, Mara admitted the team had reached its lowest point since Mara had taken over from his father, which was in 2005, I believe it was, because that's when Wallington passed away. It was just a accumulation of things, Mara said. We just got to a point where I thought we had dug ourselves a hole so deep that I didn't see a clear path to getting out of it. Unless we were completely blew it up and started all over with a new general manager and a new head coach. I just felt like we really needed to start from the ground up again. Let's see here. Dave Gettleman, this is, what is this? This is Big Blue View. Dave Gettleman calls media draft analysts clowns. Former Giants general manager Dave Gettleman called media NFL draft analysts clowns in comments made to the Inside the League newsletter run by Neil Stratton. I finally broke down. I said, what have you, he said, when have you put your nuts on the line? But sadly, you got owners listening to these clowns and even GMs listening to these clowns. I'm not going to rehash every bit of Gettleman's failure tenure of the GM of the Giants. We will just leave it at the fact that the Giants went 19-46, a .292 winning percentage, and never won more than 6 games in a season. Gettleman also said this about adjusting to life outside of football after roughly 4 decades in the game. Really and truly, I miss the people. It's kind of fascinating. People told me it would take me at least a year to get settled, and they were absolutely right on the money. It's amazing how the emails, the texts, and the calls stop. It's like you died. But I mean, it's, also the Shane and Dable, there was, Shane and all, they certainly don't want to be, ruffling any feathers in the media or whatever like that. So, if they think that these guys, giving the Giants draft grades and all this stuff, they think they're clowns. Well, I mean, I'm sure Shane's going to keep that on the down low. He's not going to, talk about that. But now the Gettleman's out of football and he's retired and everything like that, and to be true, he does have a point. Whether he drafted good or whether he drafted bad. He was talking about, basically, he wasn't just talking about, the stuff that Gettleman did. He's trying to back the GMs and stuff who are making these picks. The guys, he's saying, basically they're putting their nuts on the line, right? I mean, you start making a bunch of bad picks in the draft, you're only going to be around for so long, as Gettleman found out, right? You're not successful. Your clock's ticking. You're only going to be around for so long, right? They said, as Gettleman found out, but he's trying to just back up, I guess, his guys, So these guys, once again, you make a trade, you make a pick, and all that. You think you make the right pick and all that. And you got these, what he calls them, clowns out there making it. What did they pick that guy for? A bad pick, grading them, grading guys with a C or giving the guy a D for this draft pick and stuff like that. So I guess Gettleman just having some fun, but. I'm sure there's no love lost there between, I guess, Gettleman and the draft analyst, or the draft analyst and him and all that stuff and everything. But he does have a, it's very easy. And same thing like for me, when Monday rolls around and the Giants lose, right? And I'm sitting here and I'm like, what did you call this? What are you, stupid? What are you calling a run play on that play for? What did you dial this defense up? Why were you in man coverage on 3rd down and 3? Why did you blitz to say, what are you, stupid? I mean, it's so easy for me to sit here and look at film or whatever and just pick apart everything the coach's decisions did and all of that. Right? Hindsight's always 20/20, right? So, I mean, Gettleman, I guess he has a good point to it, but calling these guys clowns, that's pretty comical. All right, guys, been 1 hour and 9 minutes. Whoever spent any time listening to me live, thank you. Or if anybody's going to spend any time watching the replay, this once again, thank you so much. From the bottom of my heart, means the world to me. As always, you guys stay safe out there and go Giants. Woo! Oh, yeah.